designed our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Monmouth in the flesh.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
Gotta return some videotapes.
Hello, horror hounds, and welcome to the It Slays podcast. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
And I'm Colton.
Hey, it's Gill.
And we are mic-less tonight, or at least I don't see him, so we're not going to be talking to him. None of you will be talking to him.
Actually, I see him. He's right behind you.
Or like
Colton sounded too excited about that. He was like, "Anymore? Is that a no mic guarantee or?"
Well, I mean, no more mic picks is I don't know. That's a little alluring to me.
Wow,
a little.
No, it is Mike's birthday tomorrow. We're recording on Sunday. His birthday is on Monday, and I'm sure he's being a very good boy and behaving himself on
Definitely
and of course,
birthday celebration.
And of course, in like classic Mike manner, he remembered it was his birthday tomorrow an hour before recording. So
yeah, that's right.
We didn't really realize he wasn't going to be here.
Well, I think he got my the birthday gift I sent him, which was a human-sized cardboard cutout of Tom Savini. So,
wow.
Nice.
He's probably busy.
That makes sense. That checks out.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's the one that it has the pre-cut holes in it, or
yeah. I thought it was, it was better than some DIY job.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, we know where we're going to start. What have we been consuming? What have we been watching? What have we been listening to? What have we been reading? All that good stuff. Colton. Whoa, that was really loud. I got really pumped there.
Colton.
Me and Colton just coming off recording Bloodline, so I'm just pumped up on some Final Destination.
Absolutely.
Colton, what have you been up to?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been busy. I haven't watched a whole lot. I did watch Final Destination Bloodlines, which we just recorded our episode on, and it was all right. It's more Final Destination. I don't know if I understand the 90-odd% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it seems like, the showering of praise from everywhere across the internet, but, it's more Final Destination. There's some gory kills in there. Probably just as horrific, if not more horrific than Final Destination. I did check out Snow White, the live-action Disney remake.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's just awful. I don't really know why they keep making these. They're like visually confused. They're soulless cash grabs, and they don't really do anything other than disrespect the source material. And in this case, I intentionally didn't go to theaters to see this one and kind of ensure that I'm not contributing to this sort of like corporate slop. But once it came out on streaming, it was the sort of thing where I just picked it for my movie afternoon with a friend of mine to check it out. And we hated it. Obviously, Gal Gadot just can't act. I think it was basically like a one-trick pony with that first Wonder Woman movie where she didn't have to emote very much, or she just had to kind of appear to be powerful, like in the suit of armor. Everything I've seen her in since, she's just awful. So this doesn't, buck the trend. Rachel Zegler, I know a lot of people hate her. I think she is talented and she's a good singer. And in this movie, she is trying her best, but like she is inside of like the Disney volume, like obviously, which is all those screens and projections around her the entire movie, or in like a blue screen hellscape. And, you can just tell like she's just talking to tennis balls for most of the movie. And it's dire.
I'm sure she did her best. I like Rachel Zegler.
Yeah, I do as well. I think she was very good in West Side Story a few years ago. I think she's one of those that she has an agent that isn't the best. Like they're putting her up for these roles where obviously she's going to make a lot of money, but they can't really like showcase her talent. She was fine in that Hunger Games movie, but Shazam Fury of the Gods or whatever. Oof. Like just another stinker, right?
I feel like all the interviews I've seen her like kind of do too is like she reminds me of like an actress that I will like kind of in a couple years hopefully do like some indie stuff. Like she seems like now that she's done the Disney thing, she doesn't seem really into it whatsoever.
Well, yeah,
I don't think
it's
she was
just
ever
like
into it.
Yeah, I don't think she was into it either. It's the sort of thing where she's very like outspoken on social media, and some people are kind of like dunking on her now because she's kind of shitting on movies that she's been part of, and obviously have made hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, from some of these, you know. But she comes out of the boat like never acting and goes into a Spielberg movie that's probably $100 million movie, right? Like she's in a different echelon just right out of the gate. So her in this movie, she wasn't the problem with it. I don't think she was great, but she knows how to sing at least. But like these new songs in the movie, I didn't know they were going to be like introducing new songs. There's like probably 4 or 5 different songs in this movie that are added by, I think they're the writers behind Dear Evan Hansen and like The Greatest Showman and La La Land, which I love. But it's just these songs in the movie like don't fit at all like traditional Snow White songs. Like there's one that kind of sounds like Great Big Sea. There's one that literally sounds just straight up Dear Evan Hansen, like singing about, I don't know, feeling lesser than or whatever, or you're not good enough. And I'm just like, guys, like this isn't what I'm here to see Snow White. Plus it's making the movie probably an extra half hour longer, 40 minutes longer than it should be. But yeah, like by far, like the scariest thing in the movie is like the CGI nightmare that is these 7 dwarfs. Like they like struck more fear in my heart than probably like anything we've covered on this show thus far. I don't know whose decision it was to do this. I don't know if there's any like mocap or like facial tracking with any of these guys, but they are all just scary. They all look kind of like Scorpion King level visual effects where it's like, yeah, that bears a passing resemblance to Dwayne The Rock Johnson, but like it's not him, right? And that's basically what these dwarfs are. They're all scary. And then worst of all, it's just fucking boring. I started to doze off during the third act, and I kind of like readjusted myself, sat up straight just to make sure I didn't fall asleep. And by the times that like the credits rolled, I just wish I had a 30-minute nap instead. Like nothing happened. It's the sort of thing like people will walk in the scene and then like instantly the conflict is resolved by like some dumb magic trick or whatnot. And obviously I understand this is a Disney movie. It's just boring. It's just like nobody wanted a 2-hour-long Snow White movie. Like nobody wanted this.
It's not the most exciting Disney movie ever either. It's probably the most boring to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Right? Like it's been ages since I've seen the original Snow White. I was probably 5 years old the last time I saw it. So I didn't have like this reverence for the source material or like this familiarity with it where I was like watching to see specifically how they did these scenes. But it was very apparent when they were kind of recreating a Snow White scene or like a Snow White song in the movie, and then just how much extra bloat they put around it.
Didn't Rowan like just recently watch the original? And didn't you like it?
Within the last 6 months? No, I think that one I didn't like. You guys, okay. I think like Trevor and Willow shat all over me for not enjoying that one. I respected that it was like the first in the animation, but I was like, it sucked. It was boring. The music wasn't good. It just wasn't my vibe.
Well, check out the live action one before next episode so we can see how much more you enjoy it.
I'm going to go look at my letterbox, and I gave it like 5 stars or something. But
yeah, I mean, that would be what I would expect from you, Rowan, to just come out of the gate and give this 5 stars. It's not as bad as a Minecraft movie, but like that movie watching experience at least was far more memorable to me than this one. Like, it's no one should check this out. It's just avoid it like the plague. Speaking of forgettable movies, I also saw Thunderbolts, which, Rowan, did you ever check this out? You used to be a Marvel Comics boy.
So I do end up seeing all the movies in the theater usually, but I usually wait like till the last run just because those are the only movies in my town that are always packed. And I just don't want to deal with people, really. So I always wait till I'm like the only one in the theater that's going to go see it. I am very interested in seeing this one, though. So
okay. Yeah. What I'll say is, like, obviously I said it's forgettable, but that's a lot of these movies. They kind of just blur together. This one is better than what I would say the regular Marvel fare for the last couple of years. It's no Ant-Man Quantumania, which made me almost swear off ever watching a superhero movie again. This one, for some reason, has like people screaming from the rooftops that Marvel is back, or that this is the best movie since Endgame, or whatever else they're saying. And I think those sorts of people probably need to get their head checked. It at least feels coherent and cohesive and kind of like a singular vision, which is insane that we're praising that in this day and age. But like these Marvel movies largely nowadays feel like they're made by committee, and that they're trying to appease different sects of the audience, but also trying to build this next phase that they're leading into, and then it's like, oh my god, the guy we were building the phase around is now canceled, and it's just, they're all like hodgepodge, like garbage, a lot of them. This one at least feels like it didn't go through a dozen reshoots and rewritten half a dozen times, so it was at least competent in that regard. It's a smaller scale movie where the first 40 minutes, it kind of unfolds like a reverse heist, where essentially it's like our group of anti-heroes are trying to escape from this advanced underground bunker. And in that section, the movie dragged a little bit for me. Some people say that's their favorite section because it's just essentially the team having to come together and get past different obstacles to finally escape. But for me, it was like when they actually escaped that section and the team was formed through that hardship that they just went through. It got a little bit more interesting for me. Florence Pugh, obviously, she's the star of this one. Obviously, she kills it. I'm sure we all love Florence Pugh. Outside of her, there probably aren't really any other standouts. Maybe David Harbour, I guess. Like, he's kind of the comedic relief of the movie. He's Florence Pugh's father in this universe, so there's kind of like that daddy-daughter cracking jokes, I'm so proud of my little girl sort of vibe between them that's kind of embarrassing her the entire movie. So that was fun to see. I don't know why they made Sebastian Stan's Winter Soldier an American politician. It's like a baffling choice. He's a Russian sleeper agent, and now he's like, I don't know, a governor of New York or something. I don't know what they're doing with this nonsense in this movie. Like those aspects, like whenever they're injecting political commentary or talking about impeachment, which is a very big plot point for one of the characters in this movie, I'm just kind of rolling my eyes because they don't have the balls to ever say anything. But I mean, for a Marvel movie, it's the sort of thing where it is pretty competent, like I said, and I can't really discuss anything else that happens in the movie without spoiling, some later reveals in the movie that Disney quickly spoiled themselves with marketing as soon as the movie came out. I won't talk about it here, but if you're interested, just search it up for yourself. So yeah, the Thunderbolts, it was all right. I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll remember much of it. I don't really at this point in time, but I'm kind of excited for Fantastic Four in July. We'll see if Pedro Pascal and the guy from The Bear can make it a good movie. We'll see.
The guy from The Bear.
Yeah, I don't remember his name. He's the cousin from The Bear, man. He's the cousin. I don't know. He loves sauce. That's about it. And outside of that, I didn't really spend any significant amount of time watching anything else notable. I've been spending a lot of time with Claire Obscure Expedition 33, which is probably like the most atrocious title for a game that I can think of in like recent memory. But it's actually like an excellent turn-based RPG. It's set in a fantastical version of France where essentially a giant monolith appears in the ocean with a number 99 on it. And each year for the past 67 years, it's been counting backwards. And basically, when the number on the monolith corresponds to the age you're going to die at the end of the year. So basically, this whole population is getting younger and younger throughout history, as they're also sending out expeditions to kind of get to this monolith, figure out what's happening there, and see if they can stop it. So it's the sort of thing where you're playing as like a party of a bunch of 33-year-olds. And considering I'm turning 33 this year, and they're all talking about like how old they are or this impending death or all these aspects, I thought that was kind of fun just because they were all like around my age. And conceptually, it's very dark and dour in some regards, but also like the cast of characters that they flesh it out with, they're very lively and well developed. And they kind of add this certain degree of dark humor or levity to kind of the entire game. So it's kind of fun in a certain regard to like kind of embark on this suicide mission and see how it all plays out. The few people they add along the way, like different additions that don't really fit into that like neat mold, they greatly expand the world and kind of add an extra, level of vibrancy to it. So it was the sort of thing, like, as I was playing it, I just genuinely enjoyed basically everything about it. It's the sort of game that I can feel like there would be teenagers nowadays that they're playing this, and this will basically be like their Final Fantasy VII. Like, they'll love these sorts of games and talk about these characters and the story for like years to come. And it's definitely like the best thing I've played that was released this year. It's I'm probably like 40 hours into it. I have beaten it, but there's just, so much extra stuff after the credits and before the credits to get around to that I'm just kind of making my way through it. And it's great. Terrible title, great game. But that's it. That's all I've been checking out. What about you, Jill?
Yeah, I feel like I haven't been doing much over here either. Like, I haven't picked up a book in a hot minute, but I just started playing this game the other night on Friday night called Repo, and I've been playing it with my friends that I play WoW with. They're all playing it, so I went and downloaded it off of Steam. It's like $9 right now, but the premise is basically it's like a horror game, but it's kind of goofy at the same time. Like, you play these little kind of robot characters, and when they talk, like when you talk, the game has its own like kind of like voice system. So your head like lifts up and down like in South Park, like the Canadians in South Park. Mm-hmm. So it's really goofy, and like the characters have these huge eyes. You have to go around into like these haunted mansions and stuff basically, and find valuables and fill your cart to take to like the repo or whatever, and you pick up objects like kind of using, it's kind of like you have a power to like levitate things, but if you like drop them or hit a wall or something, you like lose money. So it's really funny to just like kind of sit around and just like fuck around with your friends and play, and then like really spooky stuff will happen as well. Oh my god, we were just like playing it for a long time on Friday night, just like goofing around, like laughing is like one of the best times I've had it in a long time. So highly recommend that if you have a group of friends to play it with.
The little robotic voice that they all have, that like when you type things out and they chat with one another, is excellent. And then
it's so funny.
Also, it does have like proximity chat, right? Where you can kind of like hear your friends in the distance. I love multiplayer games that have proximity chat, especially if there's a horror vibe.
Yes.
You can hear your friends screaming a couple of hallways over, and it's always comedic. Or hear them like falling to their death or something.
Yeah. And when they die, you don't hear them anymore. Yeah. And then there's like a whole dead chat, so like people who are dead can talk to each other. It's really funny because I'm like the worst at this game, by the way. So like I'm always like dying, and my friend is always typing in the little robotic voice every time I do something stupid. He's like, "Stupid woman," and it's like a meme now. I'm the stupid woman. But yeah, it's a lot of good fun. Yeah, apart from that, I watched Reanimator for the first time the other night. That was fun. I really enjoyed it. I liked where it went. And also, I was loving that, maybe I'll talk about this later, but it's the second movie I watched this week where cats just like eat shit.
Yeah, they're ruthless with the cat and Reanimator. Yes. Ruthless with the cat and Goodnight Mommy as well. But yes. I remember when I watched that was a few years ago for the first time as well, and I was kind of aghast with what happens to the cat in the movie.
Yeah, not a movie for Rowan, but
not at all.
I feel some justice in the air, with all the things that happen to dogs usually in horror movies. So it's kind of funny to see. It's not funny, but it's a little funny to see happen to cats. So yeah, I watched Reanimator. That was fun. Last weekend I rewatched Night of the Living Dead again, but I also watched like the bonus features and stuff. And I watched it with my friend Anthony, who is like a big Romero fan, and he's like been to Pittsburgh and like met Romero and like seen all the film sets and everything. So it was cool to like he was showing me pictures like he took when he was there of like the graveyard, and he was explaining to me what it looked like and everything. So that was really cool. And we plan on watching the rest of Romero's work like sometime soon. I also watched It Follows, or rewatch, I guess. Rowan's favorite movie of all time, right?
It's a pretty good movie.
Yeah. So It Follows is a really special movie here on It's Lay's podcast. Was it the first episode we ever did?
Yeah, that was back in the Rowan Auxiliary Mike days. First actual review episode we did with Mike on his gaming headphone.
Oh boy.
No joke. I've mentioned the Rowan a couple of different times that I feel like we should re-review It Follows for like an anniversary episode or something. Just because obviously Gill and I have never said our piece on the show really about the movie. But also, I mean, it's been what, 5.5 years now since you and Mike have discussed it as well. Not to mention kind of the flow of the show and whatnot was completely different back then.
He has a new mic as well.
Exactly, yeah. He's not on like his PlayStation headset or whatever he was recording with back then.
Maybe we'll have to bring it back. Mike has to bring the PlayStation headphone back.
Oh, no.
Just for that episode, yeah.
I don't know if I could bear it, but maybe we could get Exilia back here too. I think that would be so cool. But I rewatched it kind of because I've always wanted to talk to somebody about It Follows, basically, like have a nice discussion about it. So I picked it for my pick on Straight Jacket Talk. And yeah, we all loved it. If you want to hear what I had to say about it, you can go watch that video on YouTube. But the very first time that I watched It Follows, my friend showed it to me. And I didn't really look into it that deeply. I was just like, wow, this is a really cool concept. And I kind of looked at like the sexuality lens and like STI kind of lens on the first watch.
That's what a lot of people use to just like outright dismiss the movie as well and just be like, oh, it's just about STIs. Who cares?
I really liked it the first time I watched it, but this time watching it, I was like really picking up on like the trauma and like kind of the sexual assault or abuse lens, I guess. And that made it very interesting to me, especially like since I've been going to therapy and kind of dealing with trauma. Some really cool tie-ins with like trauma being represented, especially at the end where, you know, the person is still following in the background, but they're kind of like facing it. I don't know. It was like really relatable. Of course, the soundtrack is a banger. You got Micah Monroe doing killer stuff. And also, since like listening to Rowan kind of talk about like how you went on a road trip to like Detroit, right? And see like the set and everything. I was really picking up on that as well. And, you know, I think the whole like setting is a huge, I don't know, like it really like presents like a tone, and I love it. So yeah, It Follows. And then the last thing that I watched, me and Rowan watched Clown in a Cornfield. So that episode is out now if you want to hear our thoughts on it. But yeah, that's kind of all I've been up to. Rowan, what you been doing?
Yeah, I'll be honest. This might be like the shortest Rowan talk ever. So like Gill said, obviously Clown in the Cornfield, the episode's out. We went and saw that. Final Destination, Bloodlines will be out before this episode's out. I did rewatch the whole franchise except for the fifth one, and it's horror, so I'm not going to talk about it because I'm sure at some point someone will pick a Final Destination movie to review. But the things I did watch, I finally saw Baby Girl.
Oh.
Yeah. The second great pick of movies that you probably shouldn't watch in your workplace.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, after I watched Handmaiden at my workplace, why not follow up with Baby Girl? And I really, really liked it. I thought the soundtrack was awesome. Like the score in it is really, really good. I plan on setting some time aside to go back and listening to it in full. But like I thought, like it was up my, you know, it was like synth pop-ish, nice like synth score, and I thought it was actual music, and then when I kept like Shazamming it, no, it was just like the sound. It was just the score, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I'm gonna have to take a look at this. And I just thought it was pretty good as like kind of this like erotic thriller, you know, power movie. I know I feel like some people were really up on it, really down on it. I just think for what it is, it was pretty good. I didn't think much, you know, I wasn't expecting it like this like pure masterpiece, and I thought it was pretty close to there for me. I thought Nicole Kidman was awesome in it. I think I said in a group text, I didn't really get the attraction to the guy. I felt like they probably could have got better looking guy in this scenario.
Wow,
just hot take.
Poor Harris Dickinson.
I'm just saying, I was like,
what will he ever do?
He was really good in it. I was just like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm believing this. I don't know if I'm believing, you know, Nicole Kidman just, you know, eating milk like a dog out of a plate for this guy.
There's so much wrong with what you just said, but I'm not going to touch it.
So yeah, I watched that, and then so the only other things I've watched is I have completed my Bridget Jones' Diary.
Oh hell yeah!
Quadrilogy watch.
Oh my God.
And I don't know. I think I'm part of the gang now. It might be one of the greatest quadrilogies of all time.
One of the girls.
I enjoyed them. So obviously I saw the second one, which is called Bridget Jones, The Edge of Reason. That was like 2004. I thought it was pretty good. It seems that's the one most people don't like, but I thought it was pretty funny just because it was so batshit crazy. It's like it's like still this love triangle, but then it's like Bridget Jones in a foreign country being arrested for like cocaine possession that isn't hers, she's in Thailand because then she's like giving speeches to prostitutes from Thailand about like making sure men respect you, and it's just some outrageous ideas, and I was like, this is such a 90s 2000 thing that, I just feel they don't make anymore. Just
I have a question
ridiculous.
For you,
yeah,
regarding this. What started the Bridget Jones obsession lately?
Well, I talked about it. The episode. Cole missed the episode, but
I heard all about it.
Yeah,
so don't worry.
Yeah, the first one. So basically, it's that I listened to the Big Picture podcast, and one of the episodes was on the new Bridget Jones Diary movie, and I wanted to listen to it, but I've never seen it. And
that's called a skip. You just skip that episode. I don't need to hear them talk about Bridget Jones mad about the boy.
Well, so I thought, I was like, I know it's like regarded as like one of the great kind of rom-coms, and I've never seen it, and I was like, so I'll watch the first one, and I really enjoyed the first one, as I said before last episode, so I was like, well, let me keep going. I was like, there's only 4, and these are the kind of movies, like, when I'm at work, I can just like kind of kill at work when I'm just sitting there doing nothing.
And no one's gonna judge you for watching that.
I'm sure I work with all men, all masculine men.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would judge me. I mean, I shouldn't say that. They kind of know what to expect now. And
Baby Girl.
They're watching like Vietnam documentaries, and they're like, what are you watching? And I'm just like, oh, Bridget Jones Diary. That's what I'm watching. So yeah, I thought the second one was all right. Then there was Bridget Jones's Baby was the third one. I thought this was my least favorite one.
I like that one.
I mean, they're all pretty good. That one is my least favorite. This is the one, obviously, this didn't come out till like 2016, so there's like a huge time jump. Everybody's older. This is the one that they kill off, like Hugh Grant isn't in this one. So he's presumed dead, his character. This has McDreamy in it. Patrick Dempsey, who I didn't think was very good. It's Colin Firth all day for me in these ones. And then, so then last night I watched Mad About a Boy. And like I was saying to Exilia, I was like, is this where I admit to listeners that at 4 a.m. a grown man was like tearing up a little bit watching Bridget Jones? I thought this one was really good. I thought this was like my second favorite one of all 4.
You have a soul. That's so nice.
This one was a little heavier. It was less comedy, more it's all about grief. Like Colin Firth is dead.
Her husband, A24.
Yeah, it's the A24ization of Cole just shaking his head.
Yeah, this is the elevated Bridget Jones movie.
But this was like very interesting. This one was, like I said, dealt with grief. It's about her husband being dead, her being like a single mom. It just didn't have any of these like trappings of the other one of like the like, oh, this guy or this guy. There is 2 guys in it, but they're never competing. It's just like, she's a widower. How does she deal with it? Well, she meets this park patrol ranger that's like 28, and she's 50, and it's just kind of like this summer flame. And then, and then she's going to meet the guy that she's actually going to be with, which you can tell from the beginning of the movie. You're like, this is who she's going to end up with. I can't remember his name. It's the guy that plays the villain in Doctor Strange. I can't think of it.
Ejiofor?
Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah, and he's like some strict school teacher that has the exact personality as the Colin Firth guy. But it was just interesting. It was interesting to see this movie. You don't see a lot of movies like this that are about like, you know, like 40, 50-year-old women. And it's just like, it's not like it is a sad movie because of the grief stuff, but it's like almost, you know, ends on this like happy note, but not like this sickle, sweet happy note. It's just like about that you can get through your grief and you know, you can live with the memory of people. And yeah, Rowan teared up a little bit.
It's nice.
Not good for the Dead Parents Club. Yeah. Warn people.
Now, this is the only entry out of the Bridget Jones quadrilogy that didn't get a rating on Letterboxd. Is that because it's a horror movie? Because I know you don't rate horror movies on Letterboxd, so I'm just curious.
It's because I logged it like while you guys were talking, so I didn't forget that I watched it.
Gotcha.
And that's literally it. That's all I've been doing. I have been reading Clown in a Cornfield. I'm not done it yet, so I can't really give my opinions, but it's a quick read, so I've just been poking at it, and that's literally all I've been up to. I can't believe it. This is the quickest time ever that we've been through this.
That's what she said.
Sadly, every time. Yeah, so we're going to get into our film for this episode. It was Colton's pick. Colton, do you want to introduce it? Tell us why you chose it?
To tell you the truth, I don't really know why I chose this. I was kind of in the mood for a more elevated horror, but wanted something that I hadn't seen before. And then I also searched it up, and none of you guys had seen it either, or at least had it logged on Letterboxd. So I kind of did this thing where I was like, well, let's just pick something out of the blue. I'm familiar with these filmmakers. We covered The Lodge on the podcast, and Rowan and I talked about The Devil's Bath on kind of like our wrap-up episode last year. So it was the sort of thing where, you know, it was time for me to check this out and see if it's as good as their other couple of movies.
I thought maybe you were just trying to suck up the Nicholas or something. And
yeah, I don't know where this came from. It was the sort of thing where I picked, I think, a foreign language film with the host, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll pick another one of those. And it's been a while since we've done kind of this vein of movie. So
yeah, I didn't realize that was the same people who made The Lodge and The Devil's Bath, and I like both of those movies, so that's really cool.
Yeah, also I looked at it, I saw that, and for some reason, probably because I watched it at like 2 a.m, it didn't process with me that they were the same people.
Yeah, we might have to open up Colton's theme corner just because I think those 3 movies are actually there's definitely kind of an undercurrent that's similar throughout all 3 of them that we'll get to eventually, I'm sure, at some point in the discussion. But yeah, that's why I chose Goodnight Mommy.
You just wanted to ruin like our weekends by watching this horribly fucking sad fucking bleak ass movie.
Yeah, well, I hadn't seen it before, so I didn't know it was going to be just this bona fide feel bad movie. But yeah, when I was watching it, I was kind of laughing to myself a little bit at certain points that I was just like, God, I can't believe I made all these people watch this on May 2-4 weekend. What a time to watch Goodnight Mommy. Yeah, well.
With that, let's get over to the trailer, and then we'll be back for the synopsis and first experiences.
Mama? Wer ist das? Du bist nicht unsere Mama. Bitte komm zurück, Mama. Ich mache alles. Jetzt kann sie uns nicht mehr auseinanderhalten.
Goodnight Mommy was written and directed by Veronica Franz and Severin Fiala, and the story is as follows. After a tragic accident that left their family fractured, twin boys suspect that the woman who has recently undergone cosmetic surgery is not their kind, loving mother, but instead someone they don't recognize.
So first experiences, this is our first time seeing it, which I think we kind of already...
I spoiled it. I let the cat out of the bag and into the enclosure where it's drowned in something.
But if we have anything else to say about that... Colton, I feel like I'm just passing this around for no reason.
Yeah, it's a first-time watch for me. As I mentioned, I'd seen The Lodge a couple of times, and we discussed that on the show. And Devil's Bath was just something, for some reason, I turned on after midnight, I don't know, like 7 months ago, and it just absolutely floored me. So it was the sort of thing, like, this was always on my radar at different points to watch it, but it's just, once again, there's this natural aversion for myself, even though I do watch a lot of foreign language films, where it's like, well, do I want to start a foreign language film at like midnight? It just demands a little bit more of you. Obviously, there's reading involved. And then it's just the sort of thing where I want to give it like my full attention. So I always find there's that little small extra like push that I'm needed to kind of watch a foreign language film. Even though I do watch them all the time. But yeah, this one was just one that it's been on my watch list for ages. And I just want to check it out. So yeah, this was a first-time watch for me. I think I spoiled it for everybody, but Gill, am I right? Was this a first-time watch for you? Have you seen their other movies?
Yeah, I've seen The Lodge and Devil's Bath, but I also saw the 2022 remake, the American remake for Goodnight Mommy.
Yeah, which I haven't seen.
I gotcha. Did you see it, Rowan? Or no?
No, I have not seen that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I saw it when it came out a couple years ago. My friend Steve, the same one who showed me It Follows, actually, he watched both of them, but for some reason, he put on the remake when he was at my house, and I think it was because he wanted to see it, and he already saw the original, because he told me the original was, like, much better, much creepier, probably, and, I also like the original better, but so I knew the premise of the movie because they're pretty similar, but yeah, so this was always on my watch list as well, and I just never got around to it for some reason. And yeah, Rowan hasn't seen any of them.
Yeah, I haven't seen either of them. I was aware of the remake, so I knew there was an original somewhere, because I remember Amazon promoting the shit out of it on the banners and stuff. But yeah, I don't know why this is one I've never seen. And like I said, until we talked about it right now, even though I looked at the letterbox, I look at the people that did it, for some reason that my synopsis just weren't connecting, that I was like, oh yeah, The Lodge and the Devil's Bath, both movies I really enjoyed. So you'd think I'd go to this one. So yeah, none of us having seen this before. Well, with that, let's come on home, get the bandages off, maybe, I don't know. Talk about, put them on, put them off, whatever. Talk about Goodnight Mommy.
I didn't like the way you said that.
Well, speaking of bandages and mummies, right? Yeah, I don't know where to really start with this one. Obviously, I have notes like right from the beginning that like I think these filmmakers are really good at making things feel kind of dreadful, like when you're watching it. I think it's really interesting where you see so many vignettes of these boys, just playing, like living their everyday life, doing a lot of things that I did when I was a kid, that I was like, oh, it's oftentimes when you see kids in movies, they're being like movie kids. They're doing things that like real kids don't really do. But these guys are just sitting around, inhaling air and burping. And, that's the highlight of their afternoon.
Slapping each other.
Where, where I thought it was just interesting. I was like, they're setting up these boys as boys. So when obviously things get darker, you have that contrast, and it's gonna, be a little bit even more disturbing that these were just normal everyday boys. But it was just, as I was watching it, I just like instantly, it was within the first couple of scenes, like just once again, just almost like these wordless vignettes of just watching these boys scamper around, that I was like, this just still feels uneasy and feels kind of dreadful, and I don't really know why, But it's just like the subtlety of like, I don't know, the ground that they're standing on is kind of like that quicksand sort of ground that it's kind of like.
I'm interested what that was.
What is that?
Yeah, I don't know what that is either, because it was like hard. It looked like hard stone or harder ground. And it was just like, okay, it makes me feel a little bit like uneasy. But like, obviously it's saying like, oh, there's something beneath the surface, right? Like, it's just, that I was like, okay, this is interesting right off the bat.
Oh, dang.
That I can understand.
Very Blue
this being,
Velvet
like, the
there.
I mean, it was uneasy for you because they're twins, and that's just evil in and of itself. Nothing good has come from twins.
And kids. Fuck them kids.
What about the movie? With Arnold
yeah.
Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito? Come on, man.
The best twins we know.
It's a banger.
I'm just going to get this out of the way at the first. So I had no idea what this movie was about.
Okay.
No idea. I didn't read a synopsis. I didn't read anything. I figured out what this movie was about within 2 minutes of the movie.
Oh, my God.
So I'm just going to put that out there.
Do you want a cookie?
I'm just saying that. So I feel my viewing may be tainted compared to everybody else's because we're watching it, and as we're getting these opening shots, which are on top of everything you said, just like beautifully shot. Like,
yes.
This entire film, the cinematography is like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But I literally said to Exilia within 2 minutes, I'm like, yeah, one of these boys is dead. I have no idea why. Like I said, I had no idea about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was honestly just about a crazy mom that was like gonna kill her kids. And
you're so smart.
Yeah, I feel like I deserve a box of cookies or something. But
I mean, honestly.
Sadly, as we get to it, like, it kind of tainted the viewing, because then at the end, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, oh, I guess I got it.
Yeah, that's interesting, because when I was watching it, obviously, when you watch a lot of movies, and if they're actually competent filmmakers, there's a very deliberate choice of when are you going to cut the show, the title, or when are you going to cut from kind of like this opening sequence to get into the meat of the movie, right? And the point that they choose is it's Elias, right? He's calling out for Lucas, and there's just kind of like the shot of like the lake or the pond, and there might be some bubbles or, some movement in the water. And it's the sort of the implication, obviously, is that he drowned, or at least he's under the water, just kind of gonna scare his brother or something like that. And then you just cut to Goodnight Mommy, the title card, right? So obviously the implication is that this scene is very important. I wasn't as smart as Rowan. I didn't put it together that obviously one of the brothers was dead.
Yeah.
But it was the sort of thing where I was like, okay, there's something more to this scene. I just hadn't figured it out yet. Now, of course, in hindsight, it's incredibly obvious what the scene was conveying, and I wouldn't be surprised that there was many people watching this movie figured it out.
Uh-huh.
But I wasn't like you. I'm not a Nobel laureate, so I just
well, I mean,
it was above my head.
It was a guess, and then of course, as the movie progresses, and then every time, like, she's never looking at two people. She's always like looking in one direction at one kid, and she's totally ignoring this kid. I'm like, oh yeah, this makes sense. This kid's like a ghost or something.
Okay, can you guys get me a dunce hat, because I have like a little bit of an embarrassing confession. So I saw the remake years ago. I've seen this movie, like basically seen the same movie, and I still forgot about the twist. So I didn't realize that kid was dead until like the end when she says it, and I was like, oh my God. And then I watched like a YouTube video afterwards, like explaining like all the scenes, like you're talking about like the water and the drowning and like the cat, like who killed the cat. And it's supposed to be like a reflection of how he killed his brother, possibly. And like all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, wow, like blew my mind. So, not smart.
But with that, I did, I thought that if I hadn't guessed it, like, I do like the way it plays out in this like kind of slow burn, especially for like that first hour, with the intrigue of like, because we don't get like, a car pulling up or like anything like that. Like, we literally just get the boys in the house, and then the mom's just there. Like, we're just kind of thrown into it. And I thought the mom performance was really good. Like, because even though I was like, I think this is what's going on, lots of it had me like second guessing that, where I was like, oh yeah, like this mom's like fucked. What's going on with this mom?
Oh my God. She looks so good too. Sorry.
Yeah. It's the sort of thing where when I was watching it, I thought the mom was great as well. Obviously, both of the boys are everyone's good in this movie, like performance wise. I mean, okay, maybe the Red Cross people, maybe whatever. Who cares about them? But the main cast is so good in the movie, and I think there's just a lot of subtle work being done there, or maybe not so subtle, that when I was watching it, I was like, okay, is this a cosmetic surgery? Like, obviously, we get kind of, it's eventually brought out that she's a reporter and, you know, she's on Austrian television. Obviously, she's getting up in age. Maybe it is like, she feels the need to get plastic surgery. But then she mentions to one person that there was an accident and her husband is left. So I was like, okay, was it like a car accident or something? Something happened? Was there more to this? Does the accident involve one of the kids? Because there's a reason she says that, you know, the reason why, you know, Lucas isn't getting food, or, you know, the reason why Lucas is being punished, essentially. So I was like, what is the accident that happened? And I just kind of liked peeling back kind of the layers of the mystery throughout the movie, even though a lot of it, as you said, was very slow paced or deliberately paced, whatever. It's this idea where I wasn't necessarily bored when I was watching the movie, because I was just kind of trying to piece together exactly what was happening, or just sitting in this dread, this feeling of like, oh, there's gonna be another shoe to drop, this is gonna be bad at some point. And of course, it does get pretty horrific near the end with what they're doing to Mommy, but I didn't piece it together. I just thought the performances were great, and like, you know, the shots of her obviously like checking herself out in the mirror, or, you know, just being so concerned with her appearances. Like, I just thought she didn't have to intentionally speak everything out in one scene, and I kind of got the character throughout just the way she was acting.
I love the slow burn, the tone, how kind of quiet everything is. It does create this kind of atmosphere that's very dreadful, very bleak, and you just know like there's something sinister. And also there's kind of like a supernatural red herring, like kind of undertone going through it, where you think like the mom is evil, like you see her running naked in a dream, like out into the forest, and like her head getting all distorted and moving really fast, and the stuff with the cockroaches. So even though I already basically saw this movie, I totally forgot, and I was like, oh yeah, the mom's evil. Like some shit's gonna go down.
Even the pictures in the house I thought were
So
interesting,
creepy.
because like none of them actually show what the mom looks like. They're all like blurry,
distorted.
Because I did have a feeling, like when I was starting to question whether I'd got it right in the beginning, then I had started to think like, oh, well, what if like some accident has happened to the whole family, and like this is like a purgatory, or like
the lodge,
a hell, or
the
something.
Lodge, exactly, yeah. Exactly. I was kind of thinking some of that as well. Or there's the reveal of the family photo album, and like obviously all the empty spots on the wall where there used to be photos, I assume, with the father in them, or maybe even Lucas himself in the photos, whatever. But there's that one photo of her, and she says it's her friend, and they used to dress similarly. And then I was thinking like, oh, isn't there something to do with like, if you are a twin, it's more likely you'll pass it on to your offspring. So I was like, well, maybe she is a twin. Maybe there is something like a fucked up sister or something like this in this movie. Because once again, I didn't know what it was about, other than there's a creepy looking mommy who had some sort of facial surgery. And the boys are you know, crazy or something. It's kind of like what I heard about the movie. So I was kind of wondering, well, maybe mom was replaced. Maybe mom did die. I don't know. I don't know exactly where it's going.
Oh my God.
So I liked all those like little red herrings as well.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, when Gill was with the cockroaches. I just listened to you guys discuss the cockroaches episode for Creep Show.
That's what I was thinking of when I was watching it.
So it was funny to see. Yeah, it was funny to see two movies and to hear like your visceral reaction to the cockroaches in the Creep Show episode. To then watch this and see so many cockroaches.
And the hissing just like ones that are like the hissing German cockroaches. Ugh.
So nasty.
So nasty.
And me wondering, like, okay, what are they conveying by this? And I'm kind of thinking, okay, they're cutting into their mom and they're seeing she's full of cockroaches. Like, maybe she's rotten inside. Maybe, like, once again, like, this isn't mommy. She's possessed or taken over or something. That, all that just, like, worked for me tonally and thematically when I was trying to solve the mystery. I'm happy that I wasn't like you, Rowan, that I solved it right off the bat, because I think the movie would have been far more boring for me, because when I was watching it, I just truly didn't know 100% what sort of movie this was, other than thinking like probably the boys are unwell the entire movie. I was like, these boys, there's something not right with them. But other than that, I didn't know the specifics of it.
I agree. I think that made my experience really good too. One other detail I wanted to talk about was like the mother's mole when it like fell off, and they're like, yeah, it's not her. And she's like, I got it removed because it could be like cancer or whatever. I was fully on board with like she was an evil mom. I don't know. I was invested this whole time watching this. Okay, when they start torturing the mom, I was like, oh my God, what if the mom's not actually evil and these kids are actually just little shitbags? And then that was like the movie, and I was like, no way.
It was just like, yeah, kids can be crazy. Kids can be little shitbags. The Lodge is literally about kids gaslighting, their stepmom into literally thinking she is insane and in purgatory, and like she might as well kill them all. It is so bleak. And
it's so like the glue and the mouth. Oh my
Horrific.
God. Terrible.
Yeah, the scene with the crazy glue on the lips, and then they realize like, oh damn, she has to eat, otherwise she's just gonna die. And they take the scissors and they're cutting across very slowly, and then eventually puncture it, and blood goes everywhere. It was it's just horrific. And when I was watching it, I was just kind of shocked to see like to what extent these two boys were going to like keep this. Keep their mom like basically imprisoned in this bed. Keeping her head. Basically like propped up the entire movie, or I don't know. It was insane. It was a little torture porny for me, which isn't like my sensibilities. And I was just kind of like, man, is this all this movie's going to be, like so mean spirited for the last 30 minutes? And it kind of is. That is kind of what the movie is for the last 20-30 minutes. And I was kind of shocked that it was going as far as it did.
I thought it was interesting because, these kids are fucked up, and they're the slow burn plays so well out where like you kind of get this crescendo of violence like in this like third act. But I thought it was interesting because when I'm looking at like the super glue on the eyes and on the mouth, stuff like that, I'm like, these inherently, like for horror, are not like this real, like this isn't the most like gruesome thing I've ever seen, even in this kind of film. Like I'm thinking about Inside and like other stuff we've seen, but I was like, there's just like something like so insidiously evil to it.
Like imagine doing that to your mom.
Yeah, like
it's just like the childish playfulness of like the magnifying glass.
Yeah,
right? And then they use that and burn her cheek. I was just
Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, like there was just like a natural repulsion from this when it's not extreme, it's not hostile, it's not Audition, but there is just something like, once again, when I was watching it like tonally, I was like, oh, this is so terrible.
It's like still very visceral, and like it had me like cringing up a bit. I'm like, oh, like, and like I said, even though I'm like, oh, I'm thinking about stuff like Speak No Evil, like even like stuff like this where I'm like, I've seen stuff that's like bleak and just mean, but like there's just something about it which is, to me really kind of a pat on the back for like the kids, Elias and Lucas, which is their real names. I looked it up. Yeah. And like the percentage chances, I think about all the movies we've ever talked about that have such shitty kid actors in them and just suck, and which usually shitty kid actors and horror just go hand in hand a lot of the time. Just to get these two that are like, I'm sorry guys, but you just look creepy in general. You just have that vibe, and it works so well, and they acted like so good in this. Like, it's really like mind-blowing how good they are.
It's interesting as well because I think they look visually identical for like 90% of the movie. Like I couldn't tell them apart, and they play with that a little bit in the movie of like, we'll cut our hair a certain way, we'll wear certain clothes, she won't be able to tell us apart, right? But in the third act, where essentially it's Elias is getting cold feet, and he's saying that Lucas is kind of the one pushing it forward now, and he's kind of trying to get his brother's approval, like if they should keep going or not. They kind of light Lucas in a slightly different way, where his face started to look more different. And I don't know if it was like evil per se, but I was having an easier time like near the end of the movie of telling them apart, and it was like mostly in these bedroom scenes that I was like, damn, I don't know if it's intentional or if it's like a, you know, a mental thing of watching the movie and now like being able to differentiate the kids a little bit more, but it did genuinely feel like it was easier to tell near the end of the movie when Lucas was, you know, the evil one or the one that was being to blame for like what they were doing. I was able to tell which one was Lucas at kind of a glance within, you know, the last 5 to 10 minutes of the movie, which was pretty interesting because I thought they were virtually identical for the other 90% of the runtime.
That's neat.
Let's keep it 100. Like the whole time I was watching this, I was like, I'd fuck these kids up. I like
Goodnight Daddy wouldn't be working for Rowan.
Wouldn't work.
He would burst out of the restraints. He'd, you know, the super glue would have no effect.
It wouldn't even get to that. The minute I felt like tape on me or something, they'd just be getting booted out the window. They would just be done. It'd be
Microwave
done. Game
pizza.
over.
Damn.
Listen, is that what they were doing? Microwaving those pizzas or
I
cooking
think so.
them? I feel like you can't. You got to cook it in the oven. It's in the freezer. I've never took a full out frozen pizza. That won't even fit in your microwave, will it?
I don't know.
It depends on what sort of one. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. There's like the Michelinas ones that are like the size of a plate that you can just put in there. But I don't know. Yeah, you're right. The ones in the deep freeze, they looked a bit larger.
I feel
if you
like
had to
mini frozen pizzas are just super underrated. So
I was gonna say, if you guys had to order a deep freeze full of frozen pizza, what are you getting? I got to get those little shitty mini pizzas in the plastic wrap, you know, where you get the 8 of them together and they're kind of frozen together.
Those ripped. Napoli. When I was a kid, I used to I'd crush a box of those. Those are delicious.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, those are the fucking bomb.
I feel like if you're trying to get a supply going, you got a long period of time. I've seen them in Walmart. Walmart sells Ninja Turtle frozen pizzas, and they're bigger than normal pizzas. Like they almost look like the size of like a Greco party pizza, but they're only like $10. I've never ate one, but I feel like that's the best bang for your buck. That's what you do. Fill your freezer up with those.
Yeah, with the deep freeze full of pizza. Is the implication that they ordered it themselves because they knew that mommy was going to be tied up for so long that essentially they had to fend for themselves and cook for themselves? Like, where did that come from?
I thought the mom might have ordered it because she knew like she was going to be kind of like unavailable.
Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe they did.
I thought the mom also, because the kids, when they answered the door, didn't know what was going on.
Right? Yeah. Okay. There was just there was a quickness later in the movie, like when the kids go into the mom's purse and take the money out, that I was wondering.
Ooh.
You know, that I was like, oh, well, maybe there was like a more premeditation here than what we originally suspected. But
also those Red Cross people. Who the hell just like, is that a thing in Austria? You just walk into people's houses?
That must be a cultural thing, because I was literally like, if the Red Cross just burst into my house like this, they would be getting $0. They'd be getting, what the fuck are you doing? Get out of my house. And then they were wearing red. And, you know, I doubt Gill has to deal with this in the States. Maybe Rowan does. Rogers just won't leave me alone. They keep knocking on my door and they stand out there. And I shit you not, they'll stand out there for 5 minutes. Knocking, ringing the doorbell. I've told them half a dozen times I'm happy with my services. Leave me alone. And they just keep coming back, man. They don't take no for an answer. I shit you not. I've had like 3 to 4 different Rogers people wearing that Red Cross red on my step within the past month.
See, I get hit with the blue. I get hit with the bell. And even though I'm like, oh, I have these people, they'll still try to talk to me and be like, oh, well, you could just cancel it. And I'm like, are you paying for me to cancel it, or
Colton,
what's going on here?
Did you like accidentally like murder your twin brother, and what's going on?
I mean, I can't divulge that on the podcast. We gotta save that for the off recording.
But yeah, no, I was gonna say the Red Cross thing was super funny to me. I mean, I also kind of took it culturally, but also like it seems like it's like a farming community, like smaller community. So I kind of wondered if, like, you know, it was like older people that were the Red Cross people. So I was like, oh, maybe they recognize them from town, or like they hint that this, like you said, this mother is like some sort of minor TV celebrity or TV host. So like maybe they just knew. I mean, they make the comment. They're like, oh, this house is expensive. Like, this person must be rich. And hey, they got a quota to meet. So they need that money.
For sure.
I have an issue. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask another dumb question. We all know growing up that everyone say the average human consumes 8 spiders a year in their sleep.
Oh, fuck.
How many cockroaches do you think we consume each year?
None. 0. I
Yeah,
don't want to talk about it.
In Toronto.
That was a rough scene.
How many did Gill swallow when she stayed in my apartment in Toronto?
Oh my God, I've been thinking about that ever since. I hope 0, because that scene was fucking gnarly, dude. Watching it crawl into her mouth, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm interested about these like hissing German cockroaches, because cockroaches in general are like very, like there's a reason like when you turn on a light, like cockroaches scatter, like they're very skittish. They don't want to be around people or lights or anything. So it's interesting that these ones are just kind of fat and seem lazy, that they're just like cool.
Well, I think it's also that they're pets, right? Like they can't be like regular cockroaches because they have to deal with the lights being on and they're stuck in this little terrarium or whatever. So they might just not react like regular cockroaches anyways. But yes, when I saw that scene with, cockroaches don't bother me. House centipedes are for me. I cannot stand them. I used to be afraid of spiders, and then I lived in Toronto for a year, and house centipedes were what were in my apartment. And dude, there's nothing like sitting on the toilet first thing in the morning, and then you look down, and then one skitters from like underneath the toilet or from like a crack next to your tub, and then they're like they move so much faster than spiders, and then you're sitting on the toilet with your legs in the air because you're afraid of the thing. So yeah, I hate those things. I've never dealt with cockroaches. Maybe if they were in my house, I'd be afraid of them as well. But yeah, when I was watching this, I was thinking to you guys, just because I've recently listened to the Creep Show episode. I was like, oh man, back-to-back cockroach horror movies. What a pick.
Awful.
Mental note, now me and Jill have to find a house centipede horror movie. So,
oof.
Yeah, no, not good. Although, I don't know. If your kid collects cockroaches for fun, maybe you should just assume
it was a sign.
That kid's fucked up.
It was a sign.
Yeah, the signs are right there, lady. Like, that is the sign. You have a giant aquarium full of a bunch of cockroaches hissing.
Okay, also,
your kid wants to murder people.
What about all the bones in that like crawl space where the cat was?
I wanted to have a conversation about this.
Yeah, so I was reading that as almost like a catacombs, or like what is the name of it? Where you bury everybody in the one spot. Where you have your family members. Traditionally, you bury them, in their own plots, but then you have the one big hovel where you put everyone together. I forget. It's like a rich people thing, or like a family heritage thing. For me, I read that as kind of one of those that was kind of disheveled or destroyed a little bit. So it was kind of like all mixed together, because I read that scene as kind of cats when they're ready to die. I believe they kind of like scurry away and go off by themselves, right?
Yes.
So I was reading it as like maybe that's the cat was sick or scurried off to do that, just to run away, hide away, and die. But yeah, the specifics of like this catacombs or this God, what is the name of that? I can't remember it, but whatever. I that's how I read it. I don't know if it's right or not, or what the intention behind it was.
It's a nicer explanation.
I know what you're talking about. It's like a building kind of like from like Phantasm.
Mausoleum?
Yes.
Oh,
thank you.
There we go. We've discovered it.
Yes, because it had like a traditional like concrete like rock door that was kind of dislodged a little bit. So it read to me as like an old mausoleum that's been like overgrown and whatnot, and then I don't know, maybe disheveled to some degree. That's what I thought.
It's really a shame Mike skipped out on this one too, because I feel like there's a lot of ripe architecture talk in this house, because this house is gorgeous.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like the view, everything. I've got to bring up, the house is just like amazing.
The shots of the boys running up the stairs, but then the panes of glass are perfectly framed to be like the opposite sides of the staircase.
Yeah. Everything lines up perfectly in this house to be shot.
I never really noticed the architecture of the filming locations, despite working in locations and having to constantly look at that and deal with that and hear about finding the best house for the director's vision or whatnot. But when I was watching this, I did notice the house. I think it's impossible not to notice this house. And then I was thinking, imagine being like this wealthy owner of this house, and then knowing that this was the sort of movie that they shot in it, and it just being like the house is so prominent, but also the movie and what happens in it is just so horrific that I don't know. I don't know how they sold that to the people to, you know, let them rent their house. It must have been completely vacant or a rental property, because that's a terrible thing to try and pitch to get somebody to let you film in their house and film this.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So I was in IKEA today, and also when I was watching the movie, I was like, it looks like IKEA in here, the way that everything is decorated. I don't know if it's like the European like kind of interior design. Yeah, it's like modern. And yeah, I loved also like the design of the house. And yeah, also I have an issue with the priest, because why, when this kid is coming to you, at the time I thought it was 2 kids, and asking to go to the police, you bring him back to his mom. Like, well,
especially because they, like, you're assuming told the priest.
Yeah, about like abuse.
Exactly. And we think it's not our mom. And see, this is where I kind of was like, okay, well then, even if I'm not correct that, you know, this other sibling is deceased, I'm like, maybe these kids are like known in the community as like troublemakers or whatever, because like there's also the scene just before that when they're running, but they go to like the farm that's like lighting the crops on fire, and the farmer's like yelling at them and chasing them away. So I'm like, oh, okay, these kids must like always be on causing havoc on his property, which then makes more sense as you have like there's some accident. So maybe they know this kid had an accident and this kid is the reason that his brother's dead or something, and they don't want that.
Oh, yeah.
All I could think of, considering I live in Newfoundland and our history of priests here is wonderful. I was just thinking, oh, these 2 young little boys asking for a priest late at night. I'm sure nothing bad is going to happen here at all. I didn't think the priest was going to be a very helpful person right away. I thought honestly he might be worse than what he was in the movie. But I think just like in the world of the movie, you could possibly rationalize it as maybe the kid is talking about his late brother as if he's alive and that they're both there. And, you know, once again, if this kid died recently, the priest would have some knowledge in the small town that the brother's not alive, right? So there could be like an argument for like maybe this kid is having a psychotic break, that if they both were living and both coming there and kind of talking about how their mom is terrible, maybe you would take it more at face value than if you know that one brother is dead. Right.
Makes a lot of sense.
Should we talk about Colton's theme corner?
Yes, let's go.
I guess for these movies.
Corner.
Yeah, usually it's Gill. Well, not usually anymore. She never brings up themes anymore because we've given her a hard time about it. Yeah, but when I was watching this movie, there's throughout all movies, or all 3 of their movies so far, there's this feeling of motherhood and about how it's like kind of burdensome and whatnot, but also this idea of like gaslighting women or women not being believed. And I'm happy that one of these filmmaking duos, like one of them is a woman, so there probably can be like a lived experience in there. But it's this interesting concept of like how much like gaslighting in these movies, like throughout all of them, that I think it's quite interesting. I don't know if I can really like put my finger on other movies that kind of do this so well, where it feels like almost everybody in the movie is unreliable, but then also the women in these movies, they like truly lose their minds throughout the course of the movies. I mean, even in this movie, like you can tell that the mom by the end of it is like questioning, like, where did I go wrong? What is this child? Like, you know, like just can't believe what's happening. Like they don't even believe their reality. That I think it's something that's really successful that these filmmakers managed to pull off.
I agree. I think there's also, when I was watching it, I got kind of like a theme of like mothers, especially not ever being able to have like their own personality, their own life, their own identity. And like they can't,
their own autonomy.
Yes. And they can never change. Like she has to kind of stay like stagnant in order for her son to kind of come to grips with his own grief. And she's going through her own grief as well. And you can tell she's trying to like come to grips with it by maybe she's like changing the way she looks, for maybe that's a part of the reason. But yeah, just the way that she kind of isn't allowed to like change is really scary.
Yeah, it's an interesting point when she reveals that obviously she's had some work done, but she still looks basically identical to the couple of photos we've seen. It's not like vastly different, but it's basically in her mind, she's making these little choices that are making her feel more confident and better about herself. But like her boys are like completely like, oh, that's not mommy. It doesn't look at all like her. Like that. It's a tough thing, especially for like women of that age or in that industry that, you know, they feel that. But then also when she's trying to make the little changes, it's visually, it's even more damning to the boys that like, yeah, this isn't mom.
And just like, you know, grief in general in this movie is really big, and they're all grieving in their own way. But the mother to me is like really horrific, that she's going through all of this and then being, you know, attacked and killed by her own son. I don't know. It's just like the saddest, bleakest, most messed up thing I've ever seen. But it was so good.
In fairness, if your kid's like a psycho, probably shouldn't set it off by beating the shit out of it. So,
yeah, and that's the thing too, is like the mom isn't perfect in this movie either. Like the mom is pretty terrible at times, for sure. Obviously she's going through her own shit, which isn't an excuse for what she's doing, but I don't know if her sins kind of I don't know if she deserves this, you know, like what happens in this movie. I thought
was interesting, because the one way I had looked at it also was I was like, okay, like, you know, because she really does have like this alternate personality. Like when she first comes back, she's not feeling good. Obviously, like she ends up hitting the kid, like just beating the crap out of the kid and stuff. And then I was like, okay, but you know, this whole film we're talking about her being gaslit, but I'm like, is this kid also being gaslit? Like maybe this is what she's like maybe, you know, she's like I said, she's this like minor celebrity on TV, so like maybe she works a lot. Maybe she's kind of like an absentee parent. Maybe this flip of her abusing her child is something that's normal, that, you know, this kid is trying to rationalize, like, because, you know, that's a real thing. Like, this kid might be like, oh, okay, like, that's not my mom that is being abusive to me. That's someone else. And all the good parts are my mom.
Yeah, I guess that would just be a little bit more detailed, or a little bit, more introspective, I guess. Because obviously we're led to believe that mommy was good at some point.
Yeah.
But, like, obviously, there's obviously the ideology of, like, the abuser, or, like, wanting attention from your abuser, right? Even if it is negative, or, you know, reading acts of violence as acts of love. And, you know, when you're enduring abuse, there's all these, you know, from an outside observer, it's like these crazy rationalizations that people make. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you look at it from that way, maybe mommy could have been worse the entire time. We don't really know. There's not enough evidence there to really push one way or the other.
Yeah.
So did we want to talk about like the kind of like that third act, the finale, the reveal, I guess, that like, so when it was revealed, I know I said I guessed it early. So of course when they reveal it, I'm like, oh, okay. And then, but for you guys, was it like, oh my God, or like, did it work well?
It wasn't that reaction for me. I wasn't like shocked. I was like, oh, okay, all right, like, and then thinking like through the details throughout the rest of the movie and being like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I think they were internally consistent throughout it. Like that, is it Tobias, right? The other kid? What's his name? Lucas
Elias?
and
Elias,
not Tobias. I was like, oh yeah, I think Elias was doing like all the talking, like pretty much all the time, because Lucas is intentionally quiet and, you know, shy and that sort of kid anyways, right? Which obviously is a trope with twins that we see all the time. So I just immediately bought into that. But yeah, I mean, I really liked the reveal. I like the idea of like her kind of being there super glued to the floor with like one eye kind of open, like absolutely horrific, lighting like the cat vat of water on fire, and then ultimately she like basically having to verbalize that Lucas is dead, and then Lucas like stepping out behind him, like just like the way it was framed and shot and all that, like it just it like thoroughly worked for me. Made me feel a little bit stupid that I didn't get it earlier, but I loved the reveal. I thought it was great. And then the scene itself was just so horrific that it was just like this perfect culmination of like, okay, that explains the movie, but also this is fucked up.
I don't think it makes you stupid. I think it just goes to show like how well done this movie is. I think most people are going to watch it, and like if they're coming in blind, they're not really going to notice, but I think the reveal is good enough to be very effective. And I also, it got me, and I was like, okay, wow, I remember what happens now. I remembered that at the end, I think it was a barn on fire in the remake. So I knew it was just going to go downhill from there. But the reveal, I think, was pretty powerful. And and then afterwards, I was like, okay, I kind of want to rewatch it and see if I'll pick up on more things now that I missed out on, because they're there.
Well, that's why I mentioned off mic before we started recording to Jill that I almost just watched the remake right after this one, because I thought maybe Rowan had seen the remake, or I thought maybe we would discuss the remake more, just because sometimes when we're talking about two movies and let's say we've all seen the remake, we wind up talking about how one was better than the other or whatnot.
Yeah.
So I almost watched the remake just because I was curious to see how obvious it was in the remake, or if they did a really good job of kind of like fooling that, both kids are alive and whatnot. I wanted to see, almost like watching a movie that I presume to be somewhat identical in a lot of regards, just to see like, oh, what does it feel like watching it knowing that, one kid is dead, and see how the remake kind of dealt with that. I probably still watch it at some point, but now that I didn't watch it before the episode, it's probably not as important. But yeah, I was curious, not necessarily to watch this specific one over, but to watch kind of the remake to be a new movie, and then also see like, oh, like how obvious was it in this one? Or
I think,
does it add more to it?
In the remake, they did like a fairly decent job of hiding it. Like I, didn't get the twist until the end of that one too. But I think nothing can beat the tone of the original. Like it's just so stark. It's like it's bleak. I think it's very masterful, and I don't even know why they would make a remake of this. I know some people prefer the remake, but I don't know, this movie is just so good all around.
I don't believe it. I've never heard the words American remake, and it been good.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Speak No Evil. I think, Jill, you preferred the remake, I believe.
Piece of trash.
But that's kind of my rationale why Speak No Evil compared to the Speak No Evil remake. Once again, they're just so vastly different. Sense. The original is just so bleak and hopeless and, dour, and just like, it like kicks you in the guts. Like it's so like terrible the way that movie ends, and then you watch the remake and it turns to like an action movie in the last half, and it's like completely different. So that's kind of like, I can't see an American remake of this nailing kind of that bleak tone.
The kids,
I'm sure Naomi Watts is fine in it, but it's just I don't think it
you can't beat the kids in the original. They're just like so good at what they do. You can't beat that like European like setting. I think that really adds to it as well.
I can't wait for the Devil's Bath American remake.
Jesus Christ.
God.
It'll be a great time.
Let's not speak that into existence.
I was going to... Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, well, you had another thing to discuss. I was going to say that I only had one more note. So
I was also doing my last note, which was simply just the final shot of the...
Same. We're in agreement.
There we go.
Yeah, that essentially for me, I'm going to spoil a little bit. For a lot of this movie, I thought it was pretty good. For a lot of it. It was the sort of thing like, oh, I'm enjoying this. It's no Devil's Bath. It's no Lodge for me when I was watching it. For a lot of it, I was like, I can understand how this is a first movie for them, that they're finding kind of their tone and they're absolutely nailing it. But for a lot of it, it was like, yep, this is pretty decent, but like a little bit inconsequential for me, like up until like right at the end. But then like obviously the reveal in that final scene, how horrific it was. And then the final shot of like going through the cornfields, and like I'm just thinking of like him as like the little kid, running through the cornfields and then finding like, oh, my brother and my mom, my real brother and my real mom are out here, and they could all be a family again, and they're all like smiling as
super
basically
creepy.
posing for the family photo, and then like obviously everything's kind of like burning a little bit with the ash and the embers and whatnot. I loved it. I was just like, they nailed the final shot, and like kind of like the ending revelations and the final shot kind of elevated the experience a little bit more for me, where I was like, oh, this is just good. This is just like a good movie. Like that I was just like, it was all in service of something. And I really liked the final shot and kind of like what it all means and how it pulls everything together.
Yeah, I agree. It was very gut-wrenching, especially when you were talking about earlier when they're running through the cornfields. It's like happy and they're just boys being boys. And I think that's what makes the movie just like really pull at your heartstrings. Like, it's rough.
Yeah.
I mean, so with that, are we comfortable landing the plane and going into rating it?
Yeah.
So if you're new to the program, our rating system is nay, okay, yay, or slay. Colton, Goodnight Mommy was your pick. What would you rate it?
Yeah, as I kind of spoiled, for a lot of this movie, I just felt like it was okay. That I was like, yeah, I enjoy this. They're doing their thing. I think they were more successful in The Lodge and the Devil's Bath in particular. But I was still enjoying it. You know, the performances were great. The cinematography, as we mentioned, was great. That, like, indelible sense of dread that I honestly, it is hard for me to see movies where I just kind of feel uneasy watching them the entire time. And for whatever it is, I don't know how they do it, because I feel it, like, even in the first couple of scenes that are supposed to be nice, these filmmakers know how to get that from me. So yeah, it was the sort of thing, it was a bit torture porny. Don't really like that, but kind of how it all tied together for me with the revelation, the final shot, this idea where I just really wanted to kind of go see the remake and see like how successful it is, or like how obvious it was that Lucas was dead. That all worked for me so well that it bumps it up for a yay for me. I think this is a good movie overall. I enjoyed it. It's no Devil's Bath, but few movies for me so far or right now are Devil's Bath. I think that movie's excellent. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. Just a solid watch that kind of like retrospectively made the whole movie better in the end for me. Jill, what are you rating this?
Yeah, I'm gonna give Goodnight Mommy a slay because I really liked it.
Whoa!
Why is everyone so surprised?
All right, because Rowan's coming in here with an okay. That's why he's shocked, because he was bored the entire time.
Yeah, I was like glued to that screen the entire time. No pun intended. I know. Oh God. So many things made me like shiver and cringe just watching it. And honestly, it like totally catfished me because I had no idea what was happening in the best way. And it like ruined my night also in the best way, because I was just like thinking about it afterwards and how sad and bleak and just like how messed up it was. I loved it. It was so freaking good. So yeah, slay from me. Rowan, your turn.
I am coming in with an okay, but I really wasn't that bored with it. Like I said, I kind of agree with Colton. It's weird that I'm only giving it an okay, but I agree with Colton that there's not a lot of movies. I've said tons of times, like I'm just the most desensitized to like a lot of violence or gore, all that stuff. And this did get me. Like I was watching this as normal. I mean, a normal ex report on watching a movie. She fell asleep, you know, towards the beginning. But like, you know, I was cringing. I was like, ugh, like kind of trying to look away from the screen a little bit. So in that way, it was visceral. But yeah, obviously where I did guess it right away when the twist came, and I was like, it was what I expected. Any other film, I feel like this would be like a strong yay. I thought it looked amazing. I loved the slow burn of it. But just comparing it to Devil's Bath and The Lodge, both of which I really like I think this is the least favorite of those three. So I feel like I'm going to come in on an okay, because I think I gave a yay to The Lodge, and I might have given a slay to Devil's Bath. So I feel like an okay. This is like a high okay, like almost on that yay. So yeah, an okay, a yay, a slay. I feel like we hit almost all of them. We just needed Mike to absolutely hate this and give it an A.
Full spectrum.
Absolutely. Yeah, his review would have been that the mother is not mothering.
Oh my
enough.
God. You're actually, yeah. She wasn't.
Wait, I mean, there we go. I feel like we can just write it in now that was his response to it. Mothering, not mothering enough. So we told you what we thought about the film, and we asked what you thought, and we had some answers on this one. So I am going to start on Instagram, where Horror Hound Holly P did write in, and she said, started watching the remake, which I've seen before without realizing it was the wrong movie until I saw the very un-Austrian Naomi Watts. The original is beautifully shot, but largely boring. I'm here for the house.
Yes.
I assumed Holly, a fan of architecture, that's what she would be there. She didn't say if it was like a sleigh or a nay or anything like that.
I saw her Letterboxd review and she only gave it 2 stars, so
it's
maybe a weak okay.
Yeah.
Possibly an A.
Possibly an A. And then over on Slasher, we had a couple comments on Slasher. So Mental Torment said, this got overhyped for me from several sources, so I expected too much. Just an okay from me. Damon, he said, I thought it was good. That's all they said. They just thought it was good.
Hey.
So, hey. That's
Sounds
all
like
right.
a yay.
Mac Daddy 70 said it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then author Kat McC said it was just okay for me. I hate when the hype for the flick doesn't live up to the actual
God
film.
damn, people are hard to please.
I mean, it seems like, it seems like a couple people there just felt maybe a little hyped up too much. I will say anyone I've heard talk about this talks about it in a very high regard, and kind of in that vein of like, the French New Extremity horror stuff and really all about that. And, I can understand it. I gave it an okay, so I can understand where they're coming from. With that, though, we're going to kick it on over to the horrific hotline where I know Nicholas has left a message.
Okay, so I've just watched Ich seh, or Goodnight Mommy, as is the international title. And I have to say, I am pleasantly surprised. So I saw the movie kind of around the time it came out. So it came out on streaming like half a year after the cinematic release. And back then, when I was like 17 or 18, I was a bit disappointed. It is a slow burn of a movie. It has a plot twist similar to movies like The Sixth Sense or the others, and it just didn't work for me. So I was a bit afraid of rewatching it, and I have to say, this movie, it did not blow me away, but it was definitely better than expected. I really enjoyed the slow burn tension. I enjoyed all the nice little hints at Lucas, so the one brother being dead and only being imagined. This time the kind of shift from the mother being this evil person more towards the mother just not being able to deal with her still living son's trauma and psychological problems. I mean, she still hits him and she's still mean. I'm not excusing that. She still is a bad person. But the shift towards the sons or the imagined son being kind of presented more in an evil way, everything just worked way better for me this time. Maybe because I knew it was a slow burn and it takes its time. I think those are two fantastic young actors in the movie, and also the actress of the mom is doing a great job being very menacing throughout most of the movie. A few scenes had me really up in tension, especially when those two guys show up and the mom is tied up in the bedroom. Great stuff. Overall, I'm at a yay definitely for this movie after this watch. And I heard or I saw there is an American version of the movie. Have you guys seen that? Is it any good, or is it something you should skip? And just to end off, I feel like I mostly align with Colton's views of movies, but I can't get his hate for Lisa Frankenstein.
Yes,
since he made the joke last time. Lisa Frankenstein would be a solid yay for me. Remembering it how it was in the cinema. So maybe you guys pick it at some point and I can hear all about your views, or I just listen again to the no slaying. Anyways, interesting watch. Hope for you guys to do some more international features every now and then. Always love to get out of the American zone of horror movies. And I'll hear from you soon.
Cool. Well, after watching the original Goodnight Mommy, I would say probably skip the American version, especially if you're not a huge fan of the original. I feel like the American version is just kind of a watered down version of that. So yeah, I would skip it unless you watch both and you want to see the differences or similarities.
I was so happy that he gave Goodnight Mommy a yay, that he came around to it, after,
nice.
10 years basically of not seeing it. But then the whiplash of just hyping up Lisa Frankenstein. I don't know.
Win in my heart.
Heartbreaking.
Win in my heart.
Nicholas, just heartbreaking.
This kind of makes me hopeful because I did say when I was done watching Goodnight Mommy, I was like, I'd like to revisit it at some point where I know the twist, but then I can just kind of like watch it and see other stuff I missed or just kind of bask and not being like, okay, they're going to feed me some twist at the end. And because it seems like he said like it holds up pretty good on a second viewing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like sometimes when you go into the movies and there's a twist, you're just kind of spending more time looking for the twist or looking to basically, if you figure it out early, basically be like, okay, what are all this evidence that kind of supports what I believe happened at the beginning of the movie, that you kind of miss some of the rest of the movie, or you're disappointed if your expectations aren't met, that you thought this twist was a better twist. That happens to me with like M. Night movies quite often, especially the newer ones. But yeah, no, I'm glad that Nicholas enjoyed it. And if you want to be like Nicholas and send us a voicemail, you can do so at itslaispodcast@gmail.com, or you can just message us on one of our socials at itslaispodcast. Send us a voice clip, and we'll make sure that it makes the air. And if you're not following us already, you can do so at It Slays Podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Slasher, Letterboxd, Threads, Bluesky, TikTok. If you're on a social media, just check us out, see if we're there at It Slays Podcast. And if you want to help support the show financially, like our horror hounds Holly, Nicholas, Mark, Steven, Dan, Brian, Trevor, and James, gain access to the Patreon exclusive show Stream Screams, hosted by Gill, and get episodes of this here main show 48 hours early. Be sure to head on over to patreon.com/itslayspodcast and choose whatever tier works best for you. Rowan, I don't really remember any music in this movie, really.
This seems like one I'll have to go dig in a little bit, but I think this was like mostly scoreless. This is kind of like you're basking in the silence and the horror of everything. But yeah, so if you want to listen to scores or some music from horror movies, you can go to the It Slays Podcast Horrific playlist on Spotify. If you have any problems finding it, you can go to any of the social media Colton just mentioned, go into the bio, click the Linktree link, and there's a link that'll take you directly there. We upload scores or licensed music from iconic horror movies we review, or just horror movies we love. We update it pretty regularly, so follow it and get your spooky music on, because why the hell not? Before we get into the next episode, I do have an event announcement to make. Whoa. So if you guys know, we always sponsor the TerrorVision horror screenings in Lower Sackville in Nova Scotia. They have been promoting Psycho. That one actually got canceled because there were some issues with the rights, unfortunately. But they did replace it. So if you bought tickets to that, they're still good. You can still use them. And if not, go buy tickets. So they've replaced the screening Wednesday, May 28th. Doors open at 6:30. The film will be Rosemary's Baby. So it starts, the pre-show and the film start at 7:30. But yeah, you can go TerrorVision. We share the links to the events, and they're on our Instagram and all our socials. So you can go click on their stuff and go to Eventbrite. Tickets are good price. They're under $20. I think they're like $17 a ticket to get to see some awesome old horror in the theater that you probably wouldn't normally see. And a lot of the time, it's usually in 4K if possible. So you can never complain about that. So yeah, go support them. But lastly, it's time to announce the next episode. And not only is it my pick, but is the first pick of Pride Month. So it is our first Pride Month pick. We're always looking forward to this. Even when I was recording the last episode before we started this, I was like telling Colton I had no idea what I'm going to do. I have all these possibilities. I don't know. So I think I'm going to go with kind of what my heart said to go with. And folks, we are going to watch 2016's Raw.
Oh, hell yeah, this is on my list.
So, check that out. And I think Nicholas will be happy. We're staying away from the American horror 1 week longer.
Some more international cinema.
So I figured why not get some like French queer cinema into us. So yeah, watch Raw, get it into your eye holes or maybe your mouth holes, because I think that's what Raw is kind of about. So as always, thank you for all the support. We'll be back in 2 weeks. I am your humble host, Rowan.
I'm Colton.
Bye, it's Gill.
See you later.